person who's going to facilitate this section, and that is your Managing Director of Organizing, Jawanza.
Across the state of New York. Yeah. Because one, we're champions of human rights.
Yes.
We're defenders of freedom.
Yes.
We are champions of democracy.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we come to this space because of pain.
Yes.
Because of trauma.
Yes.
Because of what we've been through.
Yes.
And we're not here for sympathy,
No.
as we often talk about, but we are here as people directly impacted by AIDS, homelessness, mass incarceration, the drug war.
Yes. Yes.
Not to garner sympathy, but to establish our authority
Yes.
to co-govern with the legislative bodies in this building, the Assembly and the Senate, and the Executive Office, to fight for a New York that benefits our communities. That's black, brown, working class people, people experiencing homelessness, people who are drug users, former drug users, people who have returned from the inhumane systems of incarceration. We're talking about all of our people like you and I. So, to begin.
and downstairs.
So,
Miss Flowers.
my name is Jawanza James Williams. I use he, him pronouns. I'm the Managing Director of Organizing at Vocal New York. And thank you so much for being here for our first New York State Legislative Awareness Day of 2024. We are a statewide grassroots membership organization building power to end AIDS, homelessness, mass incarceration, the racist classist drug war, and to build an economy and a democracy that works for all 20 million New Yorkers. And today, at the beginning of the budget and legislative session of 2024, we have come together with a platform, a list of bills around these issues that we know are critical to transforming the state of New York. So we're here to lobby the Assembly, the Senate, and Governor Hochul to fight for a compassionate New York. That looks like drug checking services. It looks like overdose prevention centers. It looks like Governor Hochul not vetoing our challenging wrongful convictions bills. It looks like us coming together to meaningfully, to structurally, to respond to the unimaginable, the unconscionable crisis of homelessness in New York State. I never fail to mention that every year in New York City alone, for 7 years consecutively, 100,000 students go to school from a shelter at some point throughout the year. And that's why we're here to fight for our housing access voucher program. And as a person living with HIV, I have to say that for years we have fought to establish a rest of state AIDS housing system that compassionately supports low-income New Yorkers living with HIV, a virus that still has no cure. But functionally, we can be taken care of. AIDS can be eliminated.
That's right.
If we have our medicines, if we have our economic support, and more profoundly, if we have our housing. So, I'll have more to say in a moment, but I want to begin with our leadership voices, who will speak from different portions of our multi-issue platform for 2024. So first, I'd like to bring up the indomitable Asia Bitcoin to speak about
Asia.
who you are.
My name is Asia Betancourt, and I'm a community leader with Vocal New York. And I want to start off with saying, I am so pissed at Vocal. You know, since 2014, we have known that overdose prevention centers save lives. Every single day. Why has it not happened till today? Why did Hochul refuse to let this come to fruition? Why? Because she does not care about people's lives. And that ain't right. I am sick of seeing my friends dying. And how about you? How about the their children. Kathy Hochul brings heartbreak. And by not allowing overdose prevention centers to happen immediately,
That's true.
she doesn't care about human beings. And that ain't right. And I'm pissed. And guess what? 2024, it gotta happen this daggone year.
The next I'd like to bring up Hiawatha Collins, Vocal New York board member and also a leader in so many ways of the Drug Users Union and other projects throughout New York State and the country responding to the violence of the drug war and its consequences, the overdose crisis. Hiawatha.
Thank you. Governor Hochul, our first woman-elect governor, will go down in history. The shame of it is, will it be positive or not? It should be, because I stand and I support women's rights and women's equality and all of that. But as the first woman governor, you have not done your job. It's business as usual. You're doing the same thing everybody else has done. You make promises on the backs of your own national's life. We deal with that every day. When we go out in the community and we see people dying, these are our friends, our family, our loved ones, the people we work with and for, and some of our children. 18 New Yorkers a day die from something that is preventable. This is what we forget. Overdose is preventable. But people are still dying. Black and brown New Yorkers are dying from a tainted supply. A tainted supply. And if we had drug checking, you already heard about OPCs, so I'm going to talk about drug checking. What does drug checking do? Drug checking allows individuals to come to a facility that has this ability to check and they know what's in their supply. They will learn and know exactly what's in their supply. Once they use this said supply, they will know how it will interact with other said medications or other substances they may be taking. This also is a health issue. So why are we here making it a political issue? This is a public health issue. But because y'all want to drag it out, we have provided you with sound science for over 30 years. Sound science and research. But now, once again, you want to come out with other groups and programs to say, let's have another study group. What do we need study groups for? You've been overseas. You've been to Canada.
Evidence is there.
Evidence is here to show that it works. On Point has OPCs. How much money has On Point saved the city of New York with drug checking and OPCs? Ambulances not coming to their facility. Waste in the community, not in their community. Overdoses in the OPCs doesn't happen. No. Oh, excuse me. They happen, but none fatal. None fatal. So you telling me that this life-saving issue, along with drug checking, you say no to? That ain't right. We need to make this viable. We need to make sure, look, I'm going to start to code this. The blood is on your hands. The Senate, the Assembly, and you, Governor, with the stroke of a pen, you can make this happen. The blood is on your hands. The lives of our loved ones is in your court. It falls in your court. What are you going to do? Business as usual? Or are you going to just sign this bill in that we need drug checking and OPCs? Do the right thing.
Do the right thing. When drug users are under attack, what do we do? Stand up like that. When drug users are under attack, what do we do? Stand up like that. When drug users are under attack, what do we do? Stand up like that. What do we do? Stand up like that. What do we do? we're talking about some of the huge pillars of our drug policy platform. And before I move us into our conversation about housing, I do want to reiterate that as Hiawatha said, a toxic drug supply is the consequence of prohibition.
Yes.
A toxic drug supply is the consequence of prohibition. We must learn our lessons. The answer is not criminalization. The answer is drug checking. It's harm reduction. It's overdose prevention centers. It's creating a safe supply of the pathway for such.
Yes.
But moving on, I would like to bring up two at a time. But first, to speak about the dire need for a rest of state AIDS housing program in the state of New York, I want to bring up Tracy Adams. And to talk about the need for the housing access voucher program, I want to bring up Miss Elizabeth Mack.
Hey family, how y'all doing? Hey. My name is Tracy Adams, and I'm a leader for Vocal New York.
Yeah.
I cover the whole state of New York. In 2020, my landlord evicted me. That was during the pandemic. And I want to tell you something. If we had rest of state housing, I wouldn't have to leave my home and go to another city looking for housing. See, I've been HIV positive for 23 years. October 31st, Halloween, trick and treat. Okay? 23 years positive. And look how I look. I'm standing for my people. If you give rest of state housing, my people don't have to struggle. You understand? They don't have to go from city to city, state to state, looking for a place to live. See, when I got evicted, I didn't have a place to go. If I had went to the shelter, I'd have died.
That ain't right.
I came up to upstate New York, Rochester, and hooked up with Vocal. And here I am today. So let me tell you something, Governor Hochul. In 2018, Governor Hochul claimed to equalize access to HIV rental assistance with budget language that gave all local districts the option to provide HIV shelter allowances to support people living with HIV. But without any additional state funding to make it fiscally possible, this program already exists. It just didn't get up to upstate New York, but it already exists. Since 2016, New York City has provided rental transportation, nutritional assistance to every low-income person living with HIV in the 5 boroughs. 5, okay? Yep. New York State must expand these services outside of New York City. I want to understand this. Every time you do your state of state speech, you give Mayor Adams a shout out. Why you ain't shouting us out up here in upstate? Right. Why you ain't shouting out to our mayors? We need a voucher so we can get my people off the street. Because see, at the end of the day, my people is the one that got you in office, baby. And we're the ones that can get you out. You know, you got a flicker for pen, I got a flicker for switch when it comes to election. So, 2023, you didn't do nothing for us. 2024, I want more. I'm gonna keep knocking on your door. So my advice to the legislators and the Senate, get down and sign for this voucher. Because your seats is up. The clock is ticking. And time, T-I-M-E, is not on your side.
It's not on my side.
So we're gonna do this together. My people need housing. They need this housing voucher in the worst way. Yeah. You don't know what it's like sleeping in a dumpster. You don't know what it's like sleeping behind a building. Because you can't get services because we don't have no voucher. But you want our votes. So in the black and brown community, we're not having this no more, baby. You either stand with us or you want to stand alone. You may be the first woman governor in this state, but you'll be the first woman governor I'll bring down if you don't give us this voucher.
Afternoon, everyone. My name is Elizabeth Mackey, and I am a member and a leader of Vocal New York. So I'm proud to be here in front of all my.
Can you raise your voice a little bit, please?
The Bible says in 1 John 3:17, What if a person has enough money to live on and see his brother and sister in need of food and clothing? I put parentheses, housing. If he does not help him, how can the love of God be in him? This is what the word says. So again, my name is Elizabeth Mackey, and I thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak to you today about how critical it is that we pass and fund the housing assessed voucher program this year, HAVP. Every year, the housing prices get worse and worse, and more people are forced to live in temporary, undignified, and often dangerous shelters. And I'm a witness to that, because I was homeless a year ago, and the shelter that I lived in the Bronx was horrible. But they were generating $11.2 million.
Say it louder. Say it louder.
Nothing. So a lot has been said about the migrants coming in and out of our state. First, let me say, immigrants are welcome here. They didn't cause this problem. They didn't cause this problem. The high rent has caused this problem. So if we don't have, if the rent is high, how we expect to actually afford the rent that's out here? And then they want us to pay 30% of our income. So it should be more affordable, decent, safe housing for everyone in the city and upstate.
Yeah, that's right.
The immigrants, they are welcome here, because we all are immigrants. If you look at it. They always have been and they always will be here. We're not going to let racism, fear, money change who we are as people. Especially when we know migrants did not cause this crisis. And the only reason we are struggling to give people something as simple as a bed to sleep in is because tens of thousands of my brothers, yes, they are my brothers and sisters and they're your brothers and sisters as well, have been forced to spend years in the shelter. Look at the shelter census over the last 20 years. 40,000 in 2003, 50,000 in 2013, 92,000 and rising in 2023. In the main DHS shelters alone. The Department of Education has reported there are over 115,000 of children living in the shelter.
Ain't
That ain't right. That is a disgrace. We need to do better. Because our children are suffering. Our seniors are suffering. Just because of the fact that they are living in a shelter when they're supposed to be getting a voucher. What is going on with our city? What is going on with our state? So let me be clear. If our city and state put the resources we need in place to get people out of the shelter.
Put it back.
Resources. That's what's needed. The resources. And it's too many millions of billions of dollars is going into these shelters and they're not providing us the resources that is needed. So when we go ask for something, they don't have. When we go out of the shelter, they say, why are we going and ask for other people to help us? But you have a license by the state, New York City State, provides each shelter with a license. And they're supposed to be providing us with all the resources, every resource, because that's how they got their license. But when I investigate the shelter that I was in, all lies. They didn't provide us anything. But they were generating $11.2 million.
Say it louder. Say it louder.
That ain't right.
Say it like it is.
Where's the checks and balances?
And let me be clear about something else. Families and individuals are still getting evicted from their homes at record rates. City marshals carry out over 12,000 evictions this year.
That ain't right.
And this year just started. All because non-payment of rent. Rent has increased 35%, so it went up from 30, since 2010. But people are making more money, so what do we expect? Historical communities that have survived crisis after crisis are dying simply because people cannot afford the rent. The landlords keep going up on the rent. Our income is not going up. So how does that balance? You know how income is not balanced? Because we living in a city and state is for either poverty, poor working class, or the wealth. So if you in between either poor working class, you still have to provide 3 3, 4 jobs just to make ends meet. And that's just not counting with the rent. You got your other bills, you got food, and the food is so high, you got gas high. So how does that make any sense?
Say it louder.
For the last 4 years, our solution has remained abundantly clear. It is supported by tenant organizations like us, labor unions, homeless New Yorkers, service providers, and even the landlord themselves are demanding it. The Housing Assessed Voucher Program. Housing Assessed Voucher Program, HAVP, established a state-funded rental assistance program for New Yorkers who are currently homeless or at risk of homelessness, including undocumented New Yorkers as well as those who have certain felony convictions. HAVP will uplift over 20,000 people out of homelessness. HAPV can prevent tens of thousands of non-payment evictions. But let me make something clear with the governor from what I read. How are you putting in $6 million to floating pools for children who's in the homeless? How? How are you wasting that kind of money? Yes, we want our children to have all these here extra activities, but how can they have it if they don't even have a home to go to?
Say it louder.
Half of them is living in the street, and that is not right. So we're wasting $6 million for some floating pools. But with that $6 million, you can invest into this housing program. Get it together, because at the end of the day, all this budget money is coming from taxpayers' money. We pay, the ones that work pays in the money. Even when we have Social Security disability, they want us to pay taxes on that money. So how, in God's name, that you wasting so much money doing this and you're not doing what is right? Ain't right. So this is another election year, and all eyes are in New York State. We cannot let politicians count our votes and then ignore our needs. That's right. Let's show the country or this state can still attack common sense solution that have the ability to save the people's lives. We have the ability to do it. So let's all do, and let's all pitch in and do what we have to do. Because when we fight, we win. When we fight, we win. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Miss Elizabeth and Miss Tracy. And for our last 3 speakers, I want Milton Perez to round us out talking about Wi-Fi and shelters across New York City.
By way of Puerto Rico and everywhere else.
I'm usually the first one out. Shout out to Elizabeth, because I think it's the second time public speaking.
Thank you.
HADP, so we put it under, that's something that came from Vocal. We co-wrote that bill with the Legal Aid Society. And what I'm about to speak about now is also from Vocal, Wi-Fi for Homeless. First of all, my name is Milton Perez. I represent the Bronx, Puerto Rico. This is a Vocal AU Union meetup, from Brownsville, East New York to Rochester, Western New York. And I literally came from Brownsville, East New York today. I live about two train stops from the hotel I was at during COVID, and that's where Wi-Fi for Homeless started. Organized at the time, Selena, organized, the hotel, just like you see people, there be people with the Vocal New York shirt every day, all day. And out of the many issues that we deal with, many serious issues, something like Wi-Fi not being available is demonstrative of how broken the system is. That's right. Something as simple as, turning on the Wi-Fi that they already paid for so people can use it.
Say it louder.
I walked with the people that could to train stations and fast food restaurants that would allow us during that time, during COVID, to use the Wi-Fi, to make appointments. The library was closed. Make appointments, keep in touch, and apply for housing. So I did help a couple of people get on Housing Connect, and eventually those folks got housing. There's some people that could walk to the train station at that time. And it's just like, it just goes to show, so simple things, a couple of, I have also things written out. We know that our leaders in the state government know how critical the resources are, especially for impacted people like homeless people. Because one of the first things they did during the COVID-19 crisis was ensure that there was Wi-Fi access for families and shelters, so the children, we had to fight for that too, so that children could access, the schools and such. Last year, the Senate passed a bill, this is the Senate, passed a bill to guarantee access to Wi-Fi in all shelters. This year we know that the Assembly, so it's not just the governor, the Assembly has to also do their part, can't do the same. And we can use the money given to the state by the federal government to dramatically expand this essential resource. There's no reason not to move forward with A5649. Thank you, Joe, always knowing the bill numbers. And we look forward to seeing it pass and signed into law this year. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Milton. And before we round out on our final issue of responding to the violence of mass incarceration, I do want to hear one chant. Because when do we want? We want housing. And when do we want it?
Now!
What do we want?
Housing!
When do we want it?
Now!
What do we want?
Housing!
When do we want it?
Now!
If we don't get it,
Shut it down!
If we don't get it,
Shut it down!
If we don't get it,
Shut it down!
Next, to talk about a phenomenal victory in last year's legislative session was the passage of a bill that was birthed from the experiences and thoughts of your very own vocal leader, Roger. So next to talk about the Wrongful Convictions Act, I'd like to bring up Roger Clark.
What is Roger?
Okay, so perhaps then I'll bring up Champion Ron.
Hey everybody,
Hello.
my name is Ronald Dennis, and
One mic.
I'm a leader
One
of
mic.
Local New York Civil Rights Union, and I live in Syracuse, New York.
In the house.
I'm here today to demand that this legislature and the governor pass and sign our entire Civil Rights Union platform.
Yes. Do it now. Right now.
I'm formerly incarcerated. I spent 36 years in prison. I came home in 2019. However, when I was in prison, I kept getting hit at the parole board over and over and over again on a 15 years to life bid. So they made me do more than half of my minimum.
That ain't right.
Come on now.
So, elder parole and fair and timely parole will mean elderly people who have been in prison for more than 15 years will have a chance to make their case in front of the board.
Yes.
Fair and timely parole will mean that we will be judged at the parole board by what we have accomplished inside. Not only judged on the nature of the crime we were convicted of, but the one thing we cannot change.
Come on now.
In other words, you keep hitting me for the nature of my crime, where I earned my GED,
Yes.
I earned a college degree,
Yes.
but they kept hitting me at the parole board for the nature of my crime, which will never change. It will never change. I would also like to speak about Daniel's Law. Daniel's Law is named for Daniel Prue, who was killed by Rochester police while experiencing a mental health crisis.
That ain't right.
Our people are struggling, and the only thing offered is the police. Daniel's Law will mean that trained mental health professionals, instead of the police, will respond to these crises. We need this, especially in upstate New York. Lastly, we are demanding an end to qualified immunity in New York State. We need to hold police officers and correctional officers accountable. I just want to say this, man, right? Every time I speak about how much time I did, right, 36 years, and I'm out here, people always say, wow, I bet you feel free now. But I don't. Talk about it. And the reason why I don't feel free is because if they would have let me, for two things. One, I'm on SSI. And two, I receive welfare stamps, food stamps from the state of New York. The same people that kept me behind the bars for 36 years. However, if they would have let me go 20 years ago when I should have came home, I could have worked 10 straight years.
That's right.
Right? Because I'm 66 years old now. But I could have worked 10 straight years and got my Social Security, man. Money that I earned. Right? So with that, man, right? And I know a lot of you heard this before, but I need to say this again. But I need your help this time, right? So when I raise my hand, I want everybody to say what is left. Okay? So what is left? What is left? After the bars and the gates and the degradation. What is left? After the lock-ins and the lock-ups and the lockouts. What is left? After the chains that get entangled in the gray of one's matter. After the bars that get stuck into the hearts of men and women. What is left? After the commissary fights and the get your shit off blues. After the hustler has been hustled. What is left? After the murder burgers and the goon squads and the tear gas. After the bulls and the bullpens and the bullshit. What is left? Man, after you feel at times, man, that God couldn't be trusted. When you realize, man, that the shrink is a pusher, that the word is a whip, and the bat is a bullet, what is left? What is left? After you realize that the dead is still walking, that silence is talking, that outside and inside is just an illusion. What is left? Like, where is the sun? Where are her arms? Where are her kisses? There were lip prints on my pillow. I was searching. What is left? You see, we're at the top and bottom of a lower arc. I'm a bad, bad boy from way back. I'm in love with losers and laughter. I'm in love with freedom and children. Love is my sword, and truth is my compass.
What is left?
What is left? So what do we want?
Justice.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Justice.
When do we want it?
Now.
We don't get it.
Alright, let's jump in real quick. So, last but certainly not least, so I expect y'all to show the same energy and love as we close this out to talk about the rest of our civil rights priorities. We show some love all the way to Staten Island. Brother Neil.
Listen, I want to talk about the wrongful conviction bill. Okay, I'm just going to tell you, it could happen to you.
That's right.
Look at your neighbor and say, it could happen to you.
It could happen to you.
Anyone, baby.
1988, I was wrongfully convicted. We won't go into the circumstances now. I'm just telling you, I've been fighting since 1988. This bill, wrongful bill, will give you an opportunity for those who have been wrongly convicted to have a pathway to exoneration. It will provide for legal counsel. It will provide for people who had evidence, because now we have barriers and stumbling blocks as to how the procedural law goes. Procedure against wrongful conviction. That sounds wrong, right? Yeah. But now we have a bill that we passed in the state legislature, in this building. The state legislature, the assembly, and the state senate both passed it. Governor Hochul did not sign it. Bullshit. She vetoed the bill, but we're not giving up hope, because we know that there's a veto superpower in this building. That's right. They got some balls and stand up and do the right thing. So we're going to use that, but we're going to continue to lobby today for the wrongful conviction bill. As I said, it is also a pathway for those who have pleaded out. There was never a pathway. If you were pleaded out, that meant that you didn't have any pathway to exoneration of other evidence came into play. This bill will give you the opportunity to have a hearing and to have a right to counsel, which is something we're paying for. A right to counsel. A right to counsel is a constitutional right. Okay, so this is what the wrongful conviction bill will do. Also, immigrants, they have a pathway to go right back if they have no right to counsel. So this will give them, as you can see what's going on out here, people are getting shipped out left and right. Without a right to counsel, that is a constitutional right. This bill will provide all of that. We got to put pressure on two people. That's our governor, and perhaps maybe our state leaders are Hasty and Stuart Cousins. Remember those names. We want Hochul to sign the wrongful conviction bill this year, and we want it in the budget. We want it in the budget. So the wrongful conviction bill can happen. It can happen to everyone standing here. Thank you. All right.
Wow. So first of all, I just want to say thank you all so much for getting up so early in the morning and traveling here for us to have this press conference. And I know we have a couple of our press friends in the room, and that's good to get our message out. But we don't even need them, because we're in the building, because we're about to go and take our messages directly to the people who have the power to negotiate on our behalf in those chambers. So, to help us talk about how we're going to organize ourselves for the next phase of today's events, I'm going to bring up a gospel.
I know, like I said, I know y'all tired of hearing my voice.
Yes.
Me too. I'm tired of hearing this. But just mad love for you all. Like I said, right now, we're going to let go of the banners and pass it over to me. That could be one thing you can do. There's restrooms over there and water. But at this moment, you should find either, if you don't have a team, the civil rights team. How many teams do you have before you break off, Nick and Louise? Nick, Louise. Sorry. How many teams do you have?
Here, you come over here.
So here's civil rights over there. Joe has his team. Louis has her team.
Send me the video.
Okay, Reina. Vaya con la señora Aleluya.
Yeah, look, we always ask about you.
Con la señora Aleluya. Where are you? No, you in the picture.